Those are the whispering sounds of making custom sounds in the afternoon, and also the combination of the sounds of trading energies. In essence, trading energies of assets and trading different types of frequencies that are asset frequencies in the different parts of the day, and they're coalescing and corresponding and overlapping and connecting with each other and developing a streamline of connection between, in essence, the morning routine and the afternoon routine. The morning routine and the afternoon routine, they're connecting, they're vibing, they're coalescing. They're from opposite sides of the spectrum, but they're connecting, and they're trying to find a way to interweave together and interhatch together and make like a sweater type of an interweaving together, because they are basically together, they're woven together. And so in this instance where DINKY TehC and Change for Game Studios is trying to grow as a company, as a brand, and every single day has to weave together, and so all the energies have to become synergies in the morning and the afternoon. It's like a different gear though in each part of the day that they in essence want to try to mash together. They want to try to be pushed together like a vice grip that's able to push together, in essence, two type of cells, so that those two cells are able to force themselves to merge with each other in terms of activities, in terms of energies, in terms of the morning energy, which has to do with like trading energy, trading focus, trading assets, finance, in essence, like the flow, the energy flow, outcome and output, and day changes, and such things, monitoring energy flow, in essence, and then in essence the later part of the day, the afternoon, the volunteerism part of the day, where we're trying to use the essence of media and the essence of flow and the essence of volunteerism to be able to try to transition and do transition into a frequency of gears that has to do with volunteerism content, which is also relatable to something called circle tours, which is like all the circles are representative of little bits of philanthropy. Philanthropy energy is in the core, in the center is a vacuum, in the center is a vacuum of demand. It always revolves around a center of demand, of a vacuum of demand, of significant demand in the center, and so therefore that demand typically that demand tends to revolve around a problem, and so that's why it's related to philanthropy energy generation, because we're trying to solve all those problems in the world, as a collectivity situation and process. And so we're basically trying to advertise for those problems and solutions for those problems by developing affiliates and differing affiliate energies in both of the spectrums ultimately, which is the trading spectrum and also the volunteerism circle tours vlog status, interview status for the second part of the day, in essence, while we are trying to split up the day so that, in essence, this company is able to merge in every single day, in every single way. So we have these processes of media and trading every single day. We're trying to merge finance and marketing at the same time, so this becomes one unified process and one unified company and one unified energy every single day. And that cycle, that turning wheel, becomes one thing every single day. It's called DINKY TehC and Change for Game Studios. DINKY TehC and Change for Game Studios is that singular, unified energy that is a turning wheel every single day, and that entails two arms, two hands, which entails one hand, which is finance, the other hand, which is marketing, and those together need to be able to divvy them, to shift themselves into both hands, to be able to come half finance energy and half marketing energy, in essence. So those become the strengths on both hands. So they both become ambidextrous, more or less. That's sort of the analogy that has to do with the beginning of this podcast. Welcome to the news, by the way. And so, in essence, like the purpose for having the ability to be able to merge these things is because they're significantly different items, but they're at the same time equally different, especially if you're trying to enhance our whole overall process and influence in the whole world, because world impact is the bottom line focus, is the bottom line metric for the DINKY TehC and Change for Game Studios brand. After all, is to be able to develop the most philanthropy energy in the world as is possibly, humanly, conceptually possible, in other words. Hey, and so one of the things which we're in essence trying to we're trying to stamp those things together. We're trying to stamp on those things, stamp them together, to merge them together to like a button, like you're merging a button, the front and the back side of a button. When you put them in the machine, that makes a button. So we're just trying to do that and hammer together, hammering finance and marketing energy together to make all the explosive explosions that hammering those two types of energies together can do. And we're trying to develop a collaborative a collaborative, global collaborative energy, a global collaborative energy to cause agency within all people to be able to develop consistent and ongoing collaborations that happen in an organic fashion to activate a world of collaborations in an ongoing, organic, inspired fashion based on our content, based on the content we're trying to make, based on the content we're continuing to try to make. In other words. So we're trying to add layers every day. We're trying to add little different bits and pieces. So there's little steps up, little rises in the process that we've been doing like every single day. In essence, every single day in NYC. In New York, we're just trying to today we did an outside DJ session, in essence, to be able to advertise for the podcast, for example, specifically. So it's little things, little tidbits in essence, and at the same time, trying to add to the interview process, to the what I called it volunteerism before, because in essence it's called circle tours before, because all of those circles that we're trying to call out have to do with different people's ambitions in life and different problems that they want to solve, and that's who we're interviewing, is different people that correspond to different problems by connecting their ambitions with different problems that they would want to solve in the world. And that's the focus of the type of interview, type of content we're trying to do, except it's sort of a combination of trying to combine it with like Ari at Home, who's a character on YouTube, in essence, that does like music outdoors in New York City, in essence so it's the same city where I am in now. And so for that reason, we're still trying to kick off and find the right triangulation, the right purpose, the right balance to be able to go into more interviews where we're just pushing live. Go live, in other words, on the camera stream, in essence. So we're going to go live and also stream the screen. So we're not streaming just like the camera, in essence. We're streaming the screen, which in essence we'll use to try to also put myself into that screen that is by having the lens open up on the camera, and try to go from there and be able to try to speak to people and combine that with music making and also business music making. So the primary purpose of doing it this way, in essence, is like Witchcraft finance yesterday was talked about. Witchcraft finance, in essence, was talked about. So business music is something that has to do with basically the core of the heart of wanting to have the most philanthropic energy type of business, and that's the type of thing that we're trying to talk about with people. But the thing about Witchcraft finance is able to make new physics. Witchcraft finance makes new physics, in essence. So does, spiritual finance does as well. Spiritual finance is more so about like the interest to be able to develop the ability to develop a mindset, to be able to connect with the spirit, and the spirit with the essence and the nature of business, and the essence of money flow in of itself, the essence of energy flow of money, monetary energy flow, with, in essence, like kind of, spirituality, and also at the same time an interest to be able to become more spiritual, to be able to look at more statistics around the whole world. And that's kind of the primary purpose of spiritual finance. In essence, spiritual finance makes you become more like a jelly, like the air is like jelly, almost like the air is kind of like jelly. It's not really like jelly. You can maybe say the wind is like jelly, maybe somewhat, at least a little bit. Like if you feel like jelly in the air, then maybe you can connect it to the wind, kind of like that. Like sometimes it makes your body parts feel like jelly, like you're flowing in the wind. And that's sort of what I'm talking about, in essence. Nonetheless, even if you never felt that way, just pretend you have. And then so at the same time, connect the mindset with, like, connecting the mindset for, in essence, connect that mindset with connecting the essence of spirituality and then finance at the same time. Because if you become that jelly in the wind, if you become that jelly in the wind, and then you also take yourself like the wind and that jelly around the whole world, and you travel your jelly around the whole world, and you pretend your jelly is seeing and feeling and vibing with all businesses in the world and all business energy in the world, in essence, but your jelly can still have eyes all around it, so it can see, and it also can feel business energy and monetary energy, meaning like the unfolding of different energies all around the world, while you're looking at different energies, you're analyzing different companies, you're analyzing different energy flows, and especially different systems. You're studying different systems of cash flow, of monetary energy flow, in terms of systematization, breaking down systems of energy flow, of monetary energy flow, of business energy flow all around the world, going from manufacturing to distribution to advertising to marketing, and telling the story, in essence, of all of those things within, in essence, like a marketing story, a branding story, a brand story. That's business music. That's also street art. So we're trying to combine all these things and do both sides of it. We're trying to do the finance side. We're also trying to do the street art side. And so we're trying to combine these things all together at once. And that's what the Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios brand is all about, is inspiring a lot of these collaborations, that we're trying to do within these types of vlog type of, basically live vlog situations where we're outside on the street, in essence, talking to people, trying to at least talk to people, trying to connect energy energy in a positive sense, trying to make business music in essence, not quite just like music like Ari at Home, the character Ari at Home does on YouTube in essence, which basically is really neat and interesting and cool. But we do have a speaker. I have a music speaker in essence, so we're trying to make actual music, but we're trying to mimic. The most core key thing that I guess is figured out today that's kind of news in essence is that basically we're focused on witchcraft finance, basically, which I was trying to retriangulate and talk about today, which has to do with more like talking about witchcraft finance is connecting with, it's like tricks. It's like making new physics, basically. It's like making new math and new physics. That's the essence and the weird thing about witchcraft finance, and that's what we're trying to make with trying to collaborate with people's business music, more or less. We're actually making actual music at the same time. Like during the interviews, we're making actual music, but at the same time, we're trying to make accidental witchcraft finance physics, basically, like new physics. We're trying to create new physics by having certain interviews with people and talking about business music, and that's so basically we're trying to preset the stage more or less, like to be able to have that right effect, and by having that right effect, we'll be able to call upon hopefully what's conceptualized as in essence witchcraft finance, which has to do with in essence calling upon business music collaboration conceptualizations, which has to do with weird surreptitious ways to be able to end up by accident almost or on purpose at philanthropy energy. So basically, like, I was talking about circle tours. That's like circles are obviously different problems, and everybody has different problems that they want to solve and fulfill. So therefore, everybody's business, if they had unlimited money, which is the prompt question, and we're in interviews that we're doing, wanting to continue to do. This is trying to become an ongoing thing. So that's why it's also taking a little bit more time to be able to try to work up to the time of actually trying to initiate doing some more of these live streams, because it's like a matter of also like I'm not very practiced in doing some of this like live music, for example, so it's meant to be really weird music also. It's actually meant to be like very ceremonious weird music, like a combination of rap but also like witchcraft and ambient and like punk rock and like EDM all at the same time, but like so really weird. That's why I always kind of try to start off the podcast with like really weird sounds when the podcasts start off. But anyways, to circle back to witchcraft finance, so we're trying to develop new witchcraft finance conceptualization in this little ceremony that we're doing with people, where we're getting into psychic energies, where we're trying to get them to be able to prophesize their own futures while we collaborate on their own futures, while we try to get them to focus on businesses that they want to make, which therefore gets them to want to start their engine of moving in the direction of philanthropy energy, in essence. So at the same time, as we conceptualize their business music and we try to combine it with our business music, Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios, we can develop certain things, just like I talked about in yesterday's episode, something called negative risk tolerance. Negative risk tolerance is something that's built for the witchcraft finance methodology mindset, which is just a symbol of something that doesn't exist necessarily. It was made up based on a feeling of energy, and also a transposition of conceptual energy flow in the world, in life, and the way that physics tends to work, in essence, to be able to reverse physics through a symbol that only can be characterized by witchcraft finance. And that, for that reason, is why it's something unique and peculiar, because it changes the nature of physics through, in essence, witchcraft finance, as opposed to actual math, because it's a feeling. It's basically a feeling. It's like vibe physics. It's something like vibe physics, and you're using the essences of nature and humanity and being a human and tapping into the depths of being a human and humanity and the depths of humans and human mindsets and being a human and going into the depth of the infinity of human mindsets to be able to change and alter physics in our worlds and our laws of physics, because physics are bound by laws of numbers, but it's also possible to achieve goals within the mind, within the mindset, and that's what witchcraft finance is all about, is changing physics in essence, because that negative risk tolerance does not exist. But if we achieved it, it's based upon energy flows, based upon it's based upon actions that can equal a certain result, and based upon feelings of actions that add up to some process that has to do with energy flows, that also has to do with math. It has to do with math, but it starts with feelings, and it also adds up with different logics also that add up with nature and the energy of nature and the natural energy of nature that's naturally in nature, in essence. So I called it yesterday something also called biological, as a compound word. Bio meaning biology is the first part of the word, and then the second word is logical, which is like logic, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like math. Math is logic. biological. Biological. That is a compound word now that aligns with this essence of witchcraft finance, in essence, to be able to try to develop different aspects and different elements of physics by changing around the conceptual concept of number energy structures and energy flows that do not necessarily exist. It's in realms that do not exist. It's in realms that only exist in witchcraft mentality states, necessarily by getting into the spells and developing conceptual mindsets that are like from consuming something called the DINKY flower, which is a DINKY mindset, which is a joke because DINKY is a mindset. It's an energy that's a mindset in essence. It's an energy that's a mindset. So therefore, by consuming the DINKY flower, which is part of, in essence, like the logo for DINKY, it's in essence made into a flower recently. It's kind of transfigured and transposed into a flower. Recently, the DINKY logo was changed a little bit into a flower, in essence, kind of like the flowers that are like the one artist who is Takahashi Muramaki, I think, and so that is a similar transposition to that, except our logo was not that, but it was made into that, in essence, because it's a nice flower, ultimately, and it's a better process as a flower because that contains ointment, which relates to being able to consume such witchcraft mindset mentalities, in addition to it just being a 3D3 POD engine, which is something that it's been mentioned as in the past, because of its perpetual ability to remind the self of the perpetual ability to develop POD, which means print on demand, and 3D3, which means 3D printing in essence. And I'll leave out, it doesn't matter what the other three is, it doesn't matter, because what you're doing is you're printing on demand through a mindset, through a regurgitating mindset that develops a back end of philanthropy energy that speaks to that concept of projecting things that can become real by having philanthropy energy and real problems to solve at the back end of those things. So therefore, with real problems to solve at the back end of those things, we're constantly able to develop engines with that POD mindset. POD also, as we can look at, is also in the word podcast. So POD, print on demand, cast, print on demand, cast, meaning like you can forecast things with this podcast, in essence, which we're trying to do. That's what we've been trying to do. That's what we've been trying to do every single day. More or less by doing this podcast every single day. More or less. So, therefore, when talking about witchcraft finance in terms of developing new physics, making new physics, it's like, in essence, we're trying to take new math, make new math out of the energy flow of monetary energy flow. And witchcraft finance falls within spiritual finance. Witchcraft finance falls within spiritual finance. So witchcraft finance, in essence, is trying to make certain tricks and tidbits and tricks, specific tricks, to be able to reconfigure, re-algorithmize the world's energies, that just by tapping in to the concept of witchcraft finance to begin with, by acknowledging that it exists to begin with, you begin to look for spell books. You begin to look for spell books within the fabrics of life, which has to do with current and energy flow influencing processes, propagations, propalations, which are words I just made up. I mean, not propagations, but anyways, like to be able to propel certain energies, to be able to manipulate them, enhance them, influence them, change them, shift them, move them, cross them over, re-enhance them, reconfigure them, pull them out of the walls and the fabrics of the sides of air, or a wall that doesn't exist, where it doesn't have anything behind it. You can pull it out of there. You can pull it from a wormhole in the sky. You can pull it from a second dimension. It's all these things are conceptually viable because you acknowledge them as conceptually existing. That's print-on-demand mindset. It's a print-on-demand mindset in essence, and you basically 3D print that by having a 3-part story to make that's why it's the 3D3 POD engine in essence. You're printing on demand, and then it's 3D printing it by having a 3-part story, which is basically the market, which is the first part, the market demand, and then in the middle you have the experience, and then in the end you have the supply. Basically, that's how that works, and that's why it's the 3D3 POD engine flower, right? The 3D3 POD engine flower, which is the logo that is DINKY. DINKY flower is the 3D3 POD engine, and now it's a flower because it also has an ointment in the inside, and that ointment is an energy, and regardless if it's a flower or not, it has that energy inside of it, that perpetual engine energy regardless. And when you consume that flower and keep it in your brain and post it up in your brain and tattoo it inside the brain, then in essence, you consume the nature of the conceptualization of being able to shift and collaborate with people in the world on their own business music and develop physics-defying concepts that has to do with witchcraft finance. Witchcraft finance, which an example of it was yesterday when we talked about something called negative risk tolerance, which is not a thing that existed except before yesterday's podcast. Oh yeah, whoa, yeah. So, as we move on down the line, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so as we collaborate, we're trying to develop new physics, in essence, with people, as we do these interviews with people on a day, hopefully consistent as possible, day-to-day as possible, so type of interviews, type of thing, to be able to try to collaborate with their business music so that we develop new physics. So we're making new physics. We're trying to invent new physics by accident, by making new witchcraft finance by accident, by making by accident type of collaborative type of energies in hopes of that our business music is able to cross, that the DINKY Tech in Change for Game Studios, or DINKY Tech, energy is able to cross through collaborations with other people and other souls and other bodies and other mindsets and other beating hearts and other human energies to be able to coalesce and then therefore be able to print out new physics, new formats of physics, new formats of conceptualizations of numbers, new formats of conceptualizations of business music, energy flow, and monetary energy manipulation, systematization, systems, in essence, new forms of monetary energy systems, from having these conversations with people as time goes on. And that, therefore, is by accident making new elements and conceptualizations of new flows of physics, in essence, that can only exist within something like witchcraft finance, in essence. So that's why we bring all these things to the table. And so we're, in essence, also when we make music, making the soundtrack to these types of weird types of witchcraft finance type of tools that we're trying to make with our new physics, and we're trying to make little new, insertions of science through this fashion, and also make trading bots with these people, in essence, make conceptual businesses with people, make calls to action with people as we continue to try to talk to them, and again, actual business, like we're actually making, like actual music, business music and actual music, all at the same time. That's why I always start the episodes off with weird music, because we want it to be weird, witchcrafty type music at the same time, like unheard of music, just similar to the thing that I'm talking about with witchcraft finance. It's like the same thing. And then at the same time, as we get down the line with the business of DINKY Tech and Change for Game Studios wants to call upon that energy to be able to blossom just like that. These different types of collaborations of witchcraft finance to be able to blossom all over the world. And not only is that spiritual finance, but that's witchcraft finance trying to blossom all over the world to be able to defy and bend and invent new physics, just like artificial intelligence is trying to help invent new physics and new technology at the same time once it continues to advance itself. So we're also on the same page with artificial intelligence, trying to help in the cause of trying to expand humanity's conceptual ability to be able to print out philanthropy energy every single day. Print out new philanthropy energy every single day. Yeah, so we have the best and most connected humanity that's possible, in essence, and like we're trying to contribute to it every single day by trying to have the most powerful processes possible, and we're trying to develop them and also enhance them and also report them and journalize them in these podcasts and such things, and also trying to be somewhat held accountable by these podcasts as well on the day-to-day basis and such things. So thank you for being part of that process, for being out there, for being somewhat listening and such things. And yeah, hopefully this flower logo is able to help just be like a reminder and a consistent conceptual ongoing energy spurting type of energy reminding logo to be able to be like a mascot for business music that can also be like business music that's representative of actual music, that's representative of a DJ, that's representative of a mascot, that's representative of a brand, DINKY Tech and Change for Game Studios, that's representative of a vessel that wants to try to expand on flipping the monetary energy system in the past over on its side so that it ultimately has to just focus on philanthropy energy, expansion and invention, consistent overlapping philanthropy energy for the whole world to be able to benefit from in the future. Yeah. So basically that's about it for now. Hope I would say that's about all. So thanks again, and DINKY Tech, and bye, peace, bye.